the great Mike Tyson, one of the most feared men in the world. You feel me?
To this day.
Going up against Jake Paul. Now the most talked about and exciting young guy that, to grace the ring, and taking it away from Canelo and all those guys are great. They do it. You know what I mean? But this is the new name and the new hype and the new person to see. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, I would like to see it. So I would ask the fans, if this fight did take place, would that be good enough, or is it too old?
That's right, we're back. It's the Dazn Boxing Show. I go by the name of Hawk.
And I'm Barack, the Boxing Bully.
Hell of a show lined up for you today. I'm excited. We have a special guest, friend to the room. He's never been on with us, but he's good friends with Jake Paul. We're going to have some Jake Paul questions for him, but he's also a super middleweight and a contender, J'Leon Love. He'll be on with us today. First, we have to talk about this Mike Tyson-Jake Paul news, Barack. I don't know. I'm not sure if I believe it or not, but let's dive into it on the opening day. We may just be seeing Iron Mike versus the Problem Child later this year. According to The Sun, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul have verbally agreed to an exhibition pay-per-view bout set to take place in Las Vegas. Representatives from both fighters are apparently hashing out contracts, money splits, and other details. A source in the Tyson camp says that if all goes to plan, the fight is going on. But not so fast. Maybe Mike Tyson didn't get the memo and it was just his representatives, Barack, because he puts out a tweet and says, "This is new to me. I saw Jake in St. Bart's and he never mentioned it." Who's lying here, Barack?
I think Mike is not lying, but he's also been on record saying that he would like that kind of fight. He would like to fight either Jake or Logan. That'd be a huge money fight. Sometimes boxers are the last ones to find out. No, but I think in this particular situation, I think it's real. I don't think it's capping. I think it's kind of real. And if it is real, if there's anybody out there that's complaining saying, "Oh, well, Jake, you're 24 years old, you're fighting a 55-year-old man," I'd like to see you fight this 55-year-old man.
Whoever's saying that better
this
shut the hell up.
55-year-old man was the baddest man on the planet, and he still looks scary in that ring. If Jake fights Mike Tyson, I got to give him credit, win or lose.
Even if he just agrees to the fight and steps foot in that ring, he gets kudos. Nobody can talk smack about him because remember, Michael say exhibition is, exhibition that. He was going hard at Roy Jones. And when he's in that ring,
he didn't do too many headshots though. He didn't do too many headshots.
He's gonna turn into something else in that ring. I don't care about what exhibition people are throwing out there. Now, what do you think about the matchup here?
I think the matchup is good. I think, hey, listen, we've been asking for Jake Paul to fight a boxer. Nobody who complains would want to fight a 55-year-old Mike Tyson. We seen his combinations. We seen how he went in there against Roy. He was in shape. He looked good. He was not tired. He fought those 8 rounds. We want to see that. I think this is a good matchup. I think this is a good one. To me, it's going to bring more eyes than Tommy Fury because look at this. You got Jake pulling in this new crowd. You got Mike Tyson pulling in the guys like me and the guys.
Did you just say you think it's going to be do more numbers than Tommy Fury?
Mike Tyson's pulling in the guys like me, the guys older than us. You know what I'm saying? That generation. And Mike, his name transcended the sport. He is the most famous boxer on the planet. So this right here will do huge numbers. And they're already talking it's like 36 million pounds, which is roughly $50 million.
All right, more on that story. Make sure you go to DAZN News. They'll have you covered. And speaking of Jake Paul, his trainer and boxer, J'Leon Love, on with us next.
What's up, brother?
Yo, what's good, fam?
Man, look, a lot has happened with you. Come from a good pedigree from the Mayweather boxing gym in Vegas. I've seen you over the years. And recently people have seen you with Jake training them. How did you guys connect? Because a lot of people want to know, like, how did J'Leon connect with Jake Paul?
Man, me and Jake got a lot of mutual friends. So during the Nate Robinson, before the Nate Robinson fight, he was coming to Vegas. to work out and train, get away from LA.
Right.
And so this mutual friend hit me like, bro, my homie Jake is training for a fight. I'm like, who the hell is Jake? Like, I know all the boxers. Who is Jake? And then he's like, Jake Paul. And I ain't know nothing about Jake Paul. I heard of Logan Paul, but never knew who Jake was. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was kind of crazy. My daughter showed me a video. She comes in, like, yo, Dad, look at this. And I'm watching these dudes, and they're funny. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I say, yo, I can see me hanging out with them one day. And it's crazy how it just added up that way. Like,
yeah.
But I didn't know too much about them. So most of everything I learned was basically from my daughter telling me about it.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. So when you met him, did he already know about your pedigree as a boxer?
I think he ended up looking it up. You know, when we started texting, and I'm pretty sure he just looked my name up and seen what he saw. So yeah, man, he took me serious coming in, and I didn't know what to think. But when I came in, I was like, all right, it's Nate Robinson. I was like, Nate, like, it's Nate.
Yeah, athletic.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at Jake like, this a big boy. Yeah, it's a big boy. Nate small. I don't know. You know what I mean? Whatever. So that's just kind of how it was.
Right. How long did it take for you to believe in him? Like, you know what? We could take this on the road for real.
Automatically, man. I come from Crunk Boxing Gym, right? A school of boxing where skills pay the bills. But a lot of guys in our gym just worked hard. A lot of them didn't have the technical abilities that a lot of the fighters had out there. So I just watched their work ethic. A lot of them guys made it big in boxing because they just worked hard. And that's what he had. He had the work ethic. His work ethic was crazy. I'm like, damn, this dude running every day, 5, 6, 7 miles, running at a good pace, in the gym, eating right. He just really like living this mode of a boxer, and he's not that, during the time.
But what is he naturally good at, though? Because you could work hard as much as possible, but if you can't execute it in the ring, you're not going to go too far. Like, he has to be naturally good at something. Was it a sparring session? What did you see? Bring me back to a day where you saw him sparring and you were like, wait a minute, this guy.
we were at Bones Adams Gym. This was my first time coming in, actually seeing him work. It was a guy, I think the dude was amateur, but he's a amateur with fights. You know what I mean?
Right,
Jake I think he had one amateur fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I watched him spar, and I saw like, damn, he trying like somebody. I didn't really know who was working with him before or nothing. Right. I was like, damn, somebody been teaching him some trying. Working behind the jab, trying to set up the right hand. I'm like, okay, somebody was. Then I found out that Shane Mosley was working with him. I'm like, Then I learned Shannon Briggs. I'm like, oh, okay, so you've been around some of this. You picked up on a lot of things. So yeah, I did that. The first sparring session I seen him trying. He was game. He got hit a little bit, but he was game. He came back. He was strong. I'm like, okay, this dude, for Nate Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of how it started. Yeah.
And then when you see Nate shadowboxing, you're like, oh God, yeah, he's gonna knock Nate out.
Yeah, man. So look, me and Nate got a lot of mutual friends as well. So they hit me like, bro, you training Jake Paul? I'm like, look, man. It's all love.
It's business.
Yeah, but then I'm watching like the love stuff. I'm like, damn, this dude Nate ain't even sparring for real. Like, who trained him? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would tell Jake, bro, stay up in that ring.
Yeah.
Stay boxing. That's what's gonna get. I say, yo, your experience is everything in the gym right now. That's everything. As long as you're in the gym, soaking up as much as you can, watching with your eyes, watching what other fighters do, watching fighters when you go home, watching their videos. You know what I'm saying? That is what's gonna get you there.
Yeah.
Because you ain't had an amateur background. You ain't going to the nationals. You ain't doing none of that stuff.
Right.
So to study and soak up as much as you can.
After that fight, people weren't really worried about the Ben Askren, but did you worry a little bit when the Tyron Woodley fight was made?
No. I wasn't worried at all, man. I knew that Woodley has a puncher's chin. I've watched all his fights leading up. That dude is a dog in that cage. He get that right hand off that overhand right. It could be good night. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, yo, Jake, stay away from the right hand. He ain't really got too much else. You know what I'm saying? Like, your experience from boxing is a lot better than his.
Yes.
So just stay away from the right hand, stay boxing, using the jab. Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yo, he kind of put him back in the mind where he got knocked out. You got to put him right back where he was, which is his last couple fights, right? So I'm like, yo, it's nothing. Jump on that, touch him with that jab. You know what I'm saying? That will put a fighter, damn, you know, a lot of fighters be gun shy. A lot of fighters don't want to get caught no more. They kind of uncomfortable in the ring. So I say, yo, you got to put him right back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did.
It's a lot easier said than done, but you know, he's doing it.
Yeah, he executed it very well both times. Listen, I've always wanted to know, how tough was it for you during the gotcha hat moment? You know what I mean? Like, I know Floyd is your boy. I seen you spar Floyd, and I don't want to say what happened, but it's all right. It's the first time I saw Floyd bleed. Let me put it like that. You know what I mean?
Damn, that's crazy. You went back with that.
Oh, that's 10 years, bro. That was 10 years ago.
No, straight up, for
10
sure.
years ago,
yeah,
man. You was a young kid, and I was like, yo, I like you, bro.
yeah, that's crazy. Damn, I didn't even know you was there then. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's lit. But yeah, man, it was very awkward. But I think it was.
Of course.
I think I was the only one that can play that situation the right way. You know what I'm saying? Because I never was really there when Jake and Floyd had that situation happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Floyd would call me and I'm like, yo, Champ, look, this is what the kid does. This is, you know, this is what he does. You know, he's a troll. He, you know, this is his world right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I kind of was playing both sides, talking to Floyd, talking to Jake, talking to Floyd, and it just worked itself out, bro. You know what I'm saying? I guess if you're a real person, and, you know what I mean? And I'm real with both. If you're a real person, it worked out. Like I didn't feel uncomfortable, but it was a weird situation because
of course
everybody like, oh, you turning your back on Floyd. I'm like, what? Like, I mean, Floyd cool. We talk all the time, like, oh man, you doing your people wrong. You're messing with the white boy. I'm like, what? Come on, it ain't even about.
You know, I know you had to tell Floyd, like, Floyd, I know you were the biggest troll in boxing, but this guy is just the biggest troll in the world. You can't compete with him in this. You're gonna have to get in the ring with him.
The kid is undefeated, bro. Like,
undefeated.
His mind and what he can come up with in a split second
to
get under somebody's skin, or, you know, and then he's willing to take a risk, like, you know. And I see him got your hat. I'm like, why you with bro like that, man? So I called him like, what you doing? He like, bro, something had to happen. His press conference was whack. I had to get it going. I had to make, you know. He's like, but it's gonna sell now, and it did.
Look, you just fought and won on the Jake Paul Woodley card. Did you get amped up from just being in the gym, training with Jake, and started losing some weight and said, wait, maybe I can get back in the ring? What inspired you to get back in there?
So I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm training every day. You know, I'm running every day. I just started getting in shape. You know, and Jake was always saying like, "Yo, you should fight on my card," and, you know, things like of that nature. And I'm like, you know, yeah, if it work out that way, it'll work out. You know, whatever. But man, I'm coming in. I'm sparring everybody. Man, we got, you know, Steve Cunningham. Man, we got Kevin Newman. We got so many different guys. We got so many different guys coming into camp. It's kind of hard not to engage and get to work, right?
Right.
So I'm just getting sharper and sharper, and that's when the whole crew was like, "Jay, what you doing? Like, you nice, like, you wasting time, and you know, you thank God that you got the weight down. Like, what we gonna do, bro?" I'm like, let's rock out, and that's how it happened.
Listen, we've defended Jake here, at least myself, many times, because he only has 5 fights. And if you go down the line, all of the greatest fighters of all time, most of them, when they had 5 fights, they were fighting guys that had losing records, guys that weren't going in there to win a fight, right? So why not Jake and his team say, all right, let's go grab a couple of boxers dead bodies, right?
Yeah.
And just because they're called boxers and beat them to shut those people up. Why not do that?
Obviously, the marketing game, the sale game, the pay-per-view game, it all has a big play. So, you know, in order to do the numbers correctly, you got to get the right guy. You know what I mean? So we would have had this Tommy Fury fight, which was the perfect guy, the boxer, the brother of Tyson Fury, heavyweight, undisputed champion of the world, whatever, right? It would have been perfect in the sale because he has a following, right? So here it is, right? We can go get Joe Schmo and fight him and beat him, but nobody knows.
That's true.
And that ain't good enough. Oh, you fought a bug. Next we'll be hearing, Jack, you fought a bug. You know what I mean? Sure. So it's kind of like you would never win. You know what I mean?
Damn if
so
you do, damn if you don't.
Now here it is. From what I'm hearing, rumors.
Yeah.
He gonna fight. He gonna fight one of the most legendary boxers ever, right?
But what do you think about this? What do you think about the first thing? All right, fine. You hear it. I know you like, whoa.
Mike is Mike, man. Yeah. I watched him against Roy, and I watched him carry Roy. I seen it. I'm like, oh damn, Tyson ain't hitting him in the head. He hitting him all to the body. He carried him. It's a good show. Do your thing, But a guy with the experience of Mike Tyson, the great Mike Tyson, one of the most feared men in the world. You feel me?
To this day.
Going up against Jake Paul. Now the most talked about and exciting young guy that to grace the ring and taking it away from Canelo and all those guys are great. They do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this is the new name and the new hype and the new person to see. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I would like to see it. So I would ask the fans, if this fight did take place, would that be good enough, or is he too old?
Well, Mike is old, but I think it's an interesting dynamic. But let's be honest, before you get out of here, I got to ask you this. I know Jake is a man, but when he starts calling guys out like Canelo Alvarez, right? I don't see Canelo fighting an exhibition. Do you say, yo, Jake, chill, you wildin'. What do you tell Jake?
Listen, man, me and Jake talk about Javante all the time. I better leave that. We was just talking about that the other day. He like, me and Shakur was talking. He's like, yo, you think Jake can beat Javante? I said, Jake, what do I always say? Jake said, like, hey, man, Jay always tell me, leave Javante alone. That's different. And that's real. He's different, man.
He's special.
Javante is a killer.
Yeah.
He's an assassin. He only knows kill.
I know. I tell everybody that, but it sounds like,
hey, even to the point Floyd jumped in and said, man, stop killing your work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we can't get no sparring for you, man. You go, man, he just a killer. He don't know no better.
He got one one way, like straight. I mean, I love Tank. I think he's one of the best fighters in the world.
Back to answer your question, it gets people talking.
Right.
Jake ain't no fool.
Yeah.
So Jay, last question, yes or no? Can Jake beat Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that. I respect your answer. Right. Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. Listen, always a pleasure. Let's stay in touch,
man. All love, bro. Y'all
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Definitely, man. Thank you, baby.
Let's throw some jabs.
The fight starts now!
All right, Sergio, on Saturday, Joe Smith successfully defended his light heavyweight title, stopping late replacement Steve Giffard in the 9th round of their fight. Afterwards, Smith named Canelo Alvarez as one of his preferred next fights. Canelo, of course, is the undisputed super middleweight champion who has yet to name his next opponent. So, Sergio, should Canelo consider Joe Smith?
I think if Canelo is considering moving up to 175 again, Joe Smith Jr. is the way to go. I think, stylistically, I think that fight makes more sense. Joe Smith Jr. has been accustomed to fighting guys that are way above 6 foot, and he has been stopped before back in 2010 against a fighter that was 5'9". So stylistically, I think it makes sense for Canelo to fight cinder block hands, and that's Joe Smith Jr. Right now, stay away from Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev is still dangerous, and it could be for all the belts if Canelo can take out Joe Smith Jr. So I think, if you're going to consider it at 175, Smith is the way to go.
Yeah, look, I'm fine with Joe Smith as a Canelo opponent. I've been on record as saying Smith Canelo at MSG is a really big and marketable fight. Smith, of course, from the New York area. Canelo was already sold out MSG before against Rocky Fielding. His fan base will come back to support him. But whenever we talk about potential Canelo opponents, I just get a little bit tired of talking about guys that haven't really earned the opportunity. Now, Joe Smith is a good fighter, but his 2 wins in his light heavyweight title reign have come against Maxime Vlasov, which was an incredibly close fight, and Steve Gerrard, who was a late replacement on 8 days' notice. He really hasn't done anything besides have a title to earn a fight with Canelo. Neither, by the way, has Dimitri Bivol, who has just clung to his title over the last 3 years. We're going to go back to middleweight and super middleweight. Jermall Charlo hasn't done anything to earn a fight with Canelo. David Benavidez really hasn't done anything to earn a fight with Canelo. There's really only 2 guys in boxing in these weight classes right now that have earned the opportunity to face Canelo Alvarez. One is Artur Beterbiev, who has 2 pieces of the light heavyweight title and beat a very good fighter in Alexander Vostok to become unified champion. And the other is Gennady Golovkin, who has 24 razor-close rounds with Canelo to fall back on as evidence that he deserves a 3rd matchup. So, all right, Joe Smith is fine to me, but bring on more opponents that earn these opportunities. I'm tired of guys kind of just waiting for that Canelo lottery ticket and hoping to cash it in.
No, that's exactly what you do when you have a world championship title around your waist. You earn hard to get it and you wait for that lottery ticket, just like Caleb Plant did. He cashed it out right in the nick of time and he made a lot of money doing it. And Joe Smith Jr., he has that background story. He's a blue-collar worker, very popular in Long Island, the East Coast. He deserves it. And if you're thinking that he doesn't deserve it because of the names he's fought, Dimitri Bivol, world champion right there, that Vlasov fight. I mean, that one aged nicely as well. So he has some good names under his record and he's a knockout puncher. He gets rid of them. So maybe he doesn't deserve it as much as other champions, but it'll be a marketable fight. He's a likable guy. He's a blue-collar guy. So he's going to get fans from all parts of New York. I'm for it, man. I'm for Joe Smith Jr. Give the good guy and a 9-to-5er a big chance at a big payday. He deserves it.
Sergio, like, he lost to Bivol, like, virtually every round except for like 10 seconds later in the fight.
And he almost had him out in those 10 seconds. And he almost had Bivol out in those 10 seconds.
Almost only applies to hand grenades and horseshoes. That's not, it doesn't matter if he almost had him out. He lost that fight to Dimitri Bivol. And the Vlasov fight, he won, full credit there, but that was a very, very close fight. I hate the attitude that you take on this. Like, I understand it from a fighter's perspective. Like, if you've got a title and you see the possibility to face a Canelo for, as Caleb Plant did, around $10 million, sure, you hold on to it. But, like, going into that fight, I didn't believe Caleb Plant had any chance to beat Canelo. And as the fight played out, he didn't. So what happens there is that we don't get competitive fights against Canelo Alvarez. We get guys that are just showing up and taking a beating. You know, I always like to say in this show, when we talk about future opponents, like, iron does sharpen iron. I think Jermall Charlo would have a better chance of beating Canelo if he took on and beat David Benavidez first. Likewise, I think Joe Smith or Artur Beterbiev would stand a better chance of beating Canelo if they fought each other first. So I just want to see these guys take on real challenges before they step in the ring against pound for pound #1 in the world.
Everyone wants to see that, man. Because when you're on the other side, when you're the boxer and you work for the boxer, you know, you only have a certain amount of fights in you. And when you're like a Joe Smith Jr., a blue-collared guy from Long Island who was a 9-to-5 guy, he did it the hard way. He's been outboxed by Bivol. He was outslugged by Sullivan Barrera. He got knocked out in 2010 by a club fighter. Finally, he gets a world championship. He does it the hard way, the Marvin Hagler route, the blue-collar, no one wanted me, no one promoted me the right way, and he got to that world championship. Now it's time to cash out. Believe me, man, every fighter knows what it's like to be a Joe Smith Jr. The only ones who don't know that are the ones that have the gold medal around their waist, the Olympic experience, but that's different. You take the Marvin Hagler route or you take the Sugar Ray Leonard route. We know what route Joe Smith Jr., and it's good. It's a feel-good story and it's marketable and you could sell it. I'm for it.
Well, Sergio, the trash talk is heating up between lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury and UFC heavyweight Francis Ngannou. Fury has proposed a crossover fight with Ngannou that would be fought under boxing rules, but with smaller MMA gloves. Ngannou has expressed an eagerness to fight Fury, calling the showdown inevitable. Sergio, are you interested in Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou?
Believe it or not, Mannix, for this one I am. And I'm going to explain why. Because Tyson Fury is not going to be facing Usyk for the Undisputed Championship. He's not going to be facing Joshua. He might be facing a Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte deserves that opportunity and boxing wants to see it, great. But in between that, if you can get some easy money and knock out an MMA fighter that's very popular, one of the hardest punchers in the UFC, easy money, easy work. Tyson Fury is a hell of a promoter. They can market the hell out of that, and it'll be a cross-pollinating fight between MMA and boxing. We've seen how successful that was with Mayweather and Conor McGregor. This will be even bigger because you're dealing with bigger fighters and bigger champions, heavyweight division. I'm kind of interested in this one, and it'll be marketable, it'll sell, and be easy work for Tyson Fury while he waits for the winner of Usyk Joshua. I'm for it.
I can't. I can't with you. I can't. Because I have sat here in this chair over and over again and heard you decry the gimmickiness of some fights in boxing. We have gone round and round over Jake Paul and where he belongs in boxing. Fury versus Ngannou with any kind of gloves ends one way, with Tyson Fury winning either by spectacular knockout or widely lopsided decision.
That's it.
That's how it ends. No two ways about it. That should be a 10,000 to 1 fight, because even with smaller gloves, Tyson Fury is the boxer and he's a great boxer, and Ngannou, while being a heavy hitter, has no idea how to box, at least not on the level that Tyson Fury does. What I hope doesn't happen, what makes this moot, I hope Dillian Whyte finds a way to make this fight happen. I know right now they are bickering over money. The WBC says they want the split right now to be 80-20. Dillian Whyte prefers 65-45. Meet somewhere in the middle. Find a way to collect several $1 million, maybe $5 million, to fight a Tyson Fury. Yes, he's going to get paid a lot more, but he's earned it. Tyson Fury has earned it on the back of 2 monster pay-per-views against Deontay Wilder. Whyte might have to swallow his ego a little bit, take the big-time B-side, but get in the ring, because Sergio, if he doesn't fight Tyson Fury now, I don't know when Dillian Whyte's going to get another chance at a title. Like, the winner of Tyson Fury's next fight against whomever is going to fight the winner of Anthony Joshua against Alexander Usyk. That would mean Whyte, who doesn't have time on his side here, is going to have to wait a year or more to get in line for that world title shot. So I hope that this Ngannou stuff is just kind of white noise right now as we figure out what's happening with Fury against Whyte, because that is the fight that we need to see next for Tyson Fury.
What do you know, Mannix? You just said it was 65-45, and you're the one that graduated college. But yeah, you're totally wrong in your math, and you're totally wrong on this one, because Tyson Fury makes easy work out of Ngannou. He can maybe get Dillian Whyte in between that fight, and then at the end of the year, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can have an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. But in between then, easy work, mandatory defense, go to the undisputed. So I'm all for it. I'm for it because it's easy money. And Ngannou, you know what? He's 35 years old. You know, he's very popular in the UFC. He's one of the hardest punchers. You can market it as, oh, it's only going to take one shot from this man. It'll be a marketable fight. It'll be somewhat of a circus, but I'm for it because you're dealing with 2 fighters that are at their best in their individual sport. I'm cool with it.
I can't believe I was math checked by you. This is rock bottom for me.
You're right.
Let's get ready to rumble! The future has arrived! Jacob!
He is throwing a sledgehammer.
Munguia
is knocking on everybody's door.
Lawrence Okolie.
He's going to come in ready. The champ is back. The king is back. There's that left hook.
The fight starts now!
Good news for fight fans and Dazn subscribers, as the rematch between Rungazai and Carlos Quadros will go ahead on February 5th. This despite the card's original main event of Jesse Vargas and Liam Smith being postponed due to COVID. The venue for the vacant WBC super flyweight title bout shifts from the Gila River Arena in Glendale, Arizona to Footprint Arena in Phoenix. Still got a great fight, Ak.
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to that co-main event, no doubt about it. I mean, Jesse Vargas and Liam Smith, maybe we'll see them down the line, but guess what? On the 5th of February, we're still having a fight. I'm looking forward to it. All right, that's our show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Catch Tony and Natty tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday. Peace.